Maid in hell. You may look the other way, but you won't say you didn't know. I know that's a hard film to applaud after, but let's just applaud for the courage of the filmmakers, of everybody who agreed to be interviewed, everybody who agreed to appear. I think we owe them our thank you for making sure that we know. So please, a round of appreciation for the filmmakers. And I also want to thank the panel that is with us today, and also all those who've worked to bring this issue to us. You met them earlier on, and what I want to do is we'll just start with a couple of questions amongst us, just to set the tone. Well, the tone has been set, but just to pick up some of the issues, and then we're going to bring it over to you. So I hope you have questions. I hope you have thoughts. And yeah, let's see where we go with that. So we'll talk for about 20, 25, 30 minutes and then open it out. The idea here, clearly we're not going to solve the issues. And you've seen them articulated. So I'm not going to even go into the details of what this, the issues have been articulated for us. But I just wanted to start by asking my panel. I know you run a group that's called When You Need Help. And one of the things that struck me was that they were told, well, you may or may not have your phone, they don't have their passports. What is it and how is it that you personally are making sure you do something about this?
So to me, I decided to do what I can do within my ability. So mine, I have two tools that are very important and that are really assisting me. One is the language, Lughatul Arabiya, which alhamdulillah, atakallam bifusha, I talk with proficiency. I also write with proficiency. The second one also is being a Muslim. So I'm an insider. So I can't be cheated by an Arab. And I've carried several verses which I'll be sharing with time, which I normally hit with them whenever I feel like they're not doing justice to the ladies. So to me, my part is to come in and ask the Arab. I don't need to go to the embassy. I'm not interested in the embassy with Dr. Washington. I'm not interested in them because it will take a long time to reach that lady. I've just shared with my colleagues before we came in. I've already received some ladies who are sick and they've gone to the hospital. I want that clip. I'm in the hospital. I'm on the drip. These are my drugs. I'm having supper. This is what I'm eating. This supper. This is bread and tea supper. I pick it up from there. I don't want to go into like how, why, no. Then I just call the Arab immediately. I have about approximately 200 numbers for the Arabs. I call them boss, then I put the name for the lady. So I just call immediately and find out, limada la turid and tu'am. Why don't you want to give her food so that she can be able to get the energy to work for you? Limada la ta'khudha ila al-mustashfa. Mada yaqulu Rasulullah. What does your prophet tell you? Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir. Whoever believes in Allah on the last day should treat his servants well. Why not doing what your book is saying? And immediately they bolt. Most of them, they bolt. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So a practical intervention on the spot, and the employer knows, somebody knows this person is here and is keeping an eye, and now God has been brought into it, and I'm accountable to that. Thank you, Kasim. We'll come back in a minute and just talk a little bit more about the kafala. But Yvonne, I know you've been talking to a lot of people who have gone through this, who are dealing with this. I know you've made a documentary. What are your thoughts when you saw the documentary and as you were watching it?
First of all, the first thought was anger. I was angry at the system. I was angry that people are finding some of these things like a joke. I relate so much with the senator because when you approach agencies that helped take these ladies to Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, when you go back to those agencies, because we get their contacts, we get the information that they detailed on their booklets. But then when we go back there and there's no accountability, And there's no way you can follow up to know how these people ended up in Saudi Arabia or, generally the Middle East and who their employers are. It gets frustrating because you get distress calls on a daily basis. So it's like you're told to go into war and your hands are tied. It's just so frustrating. So I relate to the senator so much.
So what you're actually doing is not just talking to people and interviewing them and letting their stories go out, but then you do the follow-up.
Absolutely.
And you stay on a case, you don't... Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that.
All right, so I'll give an example of a story I did last year of a gentleman who approached me. His wife went to Saudi Arabia last year, and the employer and the wife were not agreeing on so many things. So she decided to go back to the deportation center, where she can be taken back to the country or moved to another employer. Something happened in the middle, and the lady died. And so for 4 months, this family was waiting for the body of the lady to be returned back to the country. No information was given. There's no cause of death. They don't even know where she was at that point. So when we came in, there was very scanty information, but we highlighted the issue. We went to his home in the village and tried to get as much information as he had, especially the papers that helped and the agencies that helped her go to the Middle East. We tried to contact them, but there was really no breakthrough in that front when you come to talking to the agencies. So we called upon the government and the National Employment Authority. There was no breakthrough there either. So what we did is just highlight the story and mention that literally there was no response from all these people that we're talking to. So we piled pressure on them. They quickly reached out to the family and asked for details to facilitate the deportation or the bringing back of the body to the country. Again, they went silent after getting all this information. Then we piled pressure again. We did a follow-up. They again rushed the processes, and within a week, the body was back in the country. So now we are pushing. We're not even stopping because we need to see if these children, she has 2 kids, if they can get compensation and go back to school, and the father, if he can get a job. So that's in the process at the moment. But we don't stop. We follow through. Even though some cases still come up on a daily basis, like now we have a case that just came in yesterday of a lady who was poisoned in Saudi Arabia, and the last time she spoke with the family, she was very ill, and she said that she had been poisoned. We don't know what's happening with her at the moment, but it's frustrating.
So Mary's story is not an anomaly. It keeps happening.
Yeah.
As I said, she's continuing to cover these stories on Candid with Yvonne. We'll come back to what we can do on that. Benna, you've been doing research on this, but you're also a lawyer. So, of course, the question that comes when you're watching this is, but we have laws. We have policies. We have government institutions. We have all of this. So as you are watching that, talk to us about that. How is this happening when we actually, it's not one of those cases where you say, wait, there is no law, so let's work towards a law. We see a senator who is saying, I am elected, the law is there, and I am helpless. So talk to me about what you think as you watch this, and what do we need to know?
Okay, for Mary, especially when I was watching Mary and the recruiter was being asked, so have you followed up on compensation? Is there a way you've been able to get compensation for her family? And the recruiter is like, there's nothing much he can do. The insurance has only been able to cover her medical bills. Now, you see, the employer is at home, seated, minding their own business. Mary on this other side has suffered. She's passed away. Her family is suffering and all these things. So yes, we do have laws, but you see now also there are challenges when it comes to implementation. Because you see Saudi Arabia, yes, we do have international laws and conventions that protect the rights of migrants. They have not adopted those conventions. When we come to a convention like the Convention for Domestic Workers, both Kenya and Saudi Arabia have not ratified the convention. And even so, when it comes to, let's say, the rights of women and such laws, Saudi Arabia has ratified, but with a lot of reservations. So now it also, you're bound, because this is also a sovereign state, and it's a bit difficult when it comes to that point. But now when it comes to issues such as following up, we are not so litigious, if I may say something of the sort, because we would come, like in the case of Mary, she would come home and be like, okay, thank God she's home. We have been able to get her body. Some people don't even get bodies of their loved ones once they go there. But the narrative should not stop there, because for litigation, it's not just about getting the compensation from the atrocity that was committed, but it's a matter of, it's strategic. It's creating awareness so that they know there is something that can be done. It's not just sitting there, you do whatever you want to do. It's not a commodity that you're purchasing, that once it's damaged, you can't get any reprieve from. I mean, once it's damaged, it's gone. No. This is an individual who has a family, who has loved ones, so it should not just stop there. For me, yeah, it should not just stop there. Yeah.
And I know we're focusing on Saudi Arabia, and there was Lebanon in the film, but the other countries. So when we talk about the Gulf countries, where are most Kenyan girls going?
Okay, for me, where my study I focused on was Saudi Arabia. That's where I saw most people were going to. And, okay, why Saudi Arabia and why Kenya? Did I focus on Kenya? It's because Kenya is, when you look at the geographical location, now most of the domestic workers who are probably coming from Uganda and these other areas, this is their meeting point before they go to now these other areas. So, yeah, for my study, I focused on Saudi Arabia.
Okay, yeah. But I know they're also going to Qatar,
yes,
to Bahrain, to
yes,
UAE.
Yes.
So it's several countries,
yes,
and the problems are more or less the same.
Yes, they are cross-cutting.
Okay. Faith, as you were watching this, one of the questions that comes up is, but why is anybody going? Like, really, why don't you just stay home, get a job at home? You know, at least you know you'll be safe. Why did you go?
Lack of employment. We don't have so much information on the ground. Most of those training centers, they don't tell us what we are going to find on the other side. So we find ourselves in that situation at the moment you are already there, and we find that there's no coming back. Or if you want to come back, it's really difficult for you to come back because you are already there and your employee already paid, they paid money for you to be there. So in another way, it's like they bought you. So you find yourself in a situation that you don't know how. You find yourself in a situation that you don't know how you can come out of it. And then another thing is maybe you have kids, because me, I'm a mother of 6. And you see, to raise 6 kids alone, a single mother, it's really difficult. So sometimes life challenges makes you make a hard decision. And then another thing is anxiety. Yes. You are there like, okay, someone went, he succeeded, and me, I'm still in the same situation. So maybe if I go, I'll be better than her or him. So you have this perspective of, let me go and try my luck. And those people who are supposed to tell us the truth, they are not telling us what we want to hear. Or if they are telling us what we want to hear, we are risk takers. Wakenya tunasema kichwa nywele ngumu. So we like to see it for ourselves. We don't like to be told. So for me, I think it's lack of information. It's upon us to be on the ground, to tell the other people or the other girls out there what is on the ground. Especially a person like me, I know when Miriam feel the pain of burn, me, I feel 100 degrees. Me, I feel the burn of 2 degrees because I was burned there. So you can imagine, I was raped, I was abused, I was beaten, I was denied food. I didn't get any, when I was sick, they didn't even give me a medicine. The only medicine they could give me was a Panadol. So most of the time I could sleep without eating, without meal, and I worked like 17 to 18 hours. So as a human being, you're supposed to rest at least for how many hours? 6 to 8 hours. You're supposed to rest. But there, I only get time to rest 2 hours or 3 hours. But the rest of hours, I'm working 24/7. When I watch Miriam's stories, I a little bit got emotional because I was there and I could see myself there again. So I think as much as we are blaming government, even us, we have a role to play on the ground. We don't have just to sit there and wait for government to do something. It's upon us to wake up and do what needed to be done on the ground. Because the more we keep quiet, the more our girls are going. I'm sure most of you see them walking around the town with bags on their bags on their back. So for me, I feel pain because they don't know where they are going. And I wish I could stand them on the road and start telling them, where you are going to see this or you are going to face this. But trust me, when I do that on the street, I may be even killed. Because there's someone who is following them. There is someone who is directing them where to go to medical, whatever, where there's someone always following them. So I don't have that right to stop them and start telling them where they are going. So it's really painful for us as a lady, as a mother, as a young ladies, when you are going outside, you are full of health. When you come back a skeleton, you come back in a casket. As a breadwinner, you feel the pain of losing a mother, of losing a brother, losing a sister. And when we are talking about domestic worker, we are not only focusing on girl child, also we have to focus on boy child. Because boy child, they never talk about it until it's getting to that an extent that they can't keep it for themselves anymore. So when we are raising abuse about domestic worker, migrant worker, I also urge to concern about boy child also. So it's not only girl child. And I'm not saying that all Arabs are bad. You can go there, you find a good Arab, and you work for 2 years, 3 years, down the line you come back and your life changed. But if you land on bad hands, my friend, you don't have any choice than maybe you commit suicide the way we have seen the girl. You know, there's a torture that someone can torture you until you reach at that point that you can't take it anymore. You have asked for the help, you have called the embassy, you have called your agency from Nairobi, and remember the agency that took you from Nairobi is the different agency you are going to find there. So it's 2 different people there. So to get help, it's really difficult, and there, no ladies are allowed outside. You don't talk to their men. You don't know whom to talk to. Like on my situation when I was being raped, I was being raped. Like I lost counts. But when I tried to share with my agent, they never took it seriously. So you see, as a lady, you reach that point when someone is taking your dignity away without your consent. It's really pushed your morale down. So at some point you feel like committing suicide. So I don't know who to blame on that side. Either I blame myself, or I blame the agents, or I blame the Kenya embassy, or I blame the Kenyan government. I don't know. But at least they should come with something that can protect our Kenyan law, that can protect our Kenyan girls, especially migrant worker, domestic worker, when she's outside there. Yeah.
I want to thank you. I wasn't sure if you wanted to share your own experience. And I thank you because I know it was very difficult for you to watch this.
Yes, it was very difficult because I feel the pain. You took me back.
Yeah.
When I saw there's another part that the man was abusing the lady on the balcony, and at some point that man could come rooftop and they start abusing me and touching me everywhere. Like, you can't defend yourself. You can't say no. And in a scenario like that, you don't know whom to talk to. You can't tell that madam. You can't tell anyone there. Because remember, in that house, you are black. And everyone else, you are the outsider. So if you tell the lady that the husband is trying to do this, they will gang up. They will gang against you, and then they will kill you. They will hang you up there. They took your photo and sent to your family. They say that you kill yourself, or you jumped from rooftop and then you die. You have committed suicide. The other thing, they will poison even your food. You will die there. So in a situation like that, you don't know whom to talk to at that moment. You find that the people who are supposed to protect you, they are not there to protect you. The promises that you've been told here before you went there, that we will take care of you, in case of anything, just call us, we will protect you, we will see the way forward. And my contract, in fact, I have my contract here. It says that I'm supposed to change my boss, my employee, like 3 houses. I'm supposed to change 3 houses. The 4th house, I'm supposed to come back. So in my case, that never happened. I worked in that house for 1 year and 6 months, full of mistreatment. I don't know how many times I was raped. I don't know how many times I slept without food. I don't know how many times I slept outside balcony up there. I lost count the time that I slept like 3, 4 to 5 hours. So even I lost, how do we call it? Morale. Yeah, morale. Yeah. Yeah. I lost hope. I felt like I failed my kids. Now I'm coming back to my kids when I'm in casket. As a mother, I'm a loser. I choose a wrong direction, but there's no way to come back. The day this boss burned my hand, I felt like I want to die. I asked God so many questions because I'm an orphan. So I don't have a father, I don't have a mother, I don't have a sister, I don't have a father, I don't have a brother. So the only people I have is my relative. And here in Africa or in Kenya, we have this attitude that when you have money, your relative, they will welcome you. But when you don't have anything, definitely you can't say anything in your community or in your society. So for me, I have the only thing I have is my kids. So the moment this man used my body without my permission, one thing, he killed me inside. I remember when I was young, 3 years, 5 years, somebody raped me. Then again, when I was in Saudi, this thing repeated again. So when I came back, after working for 1 year and 6 months, I used to send all my salary back here at home. So the person, or my husband, my ex-husband, my ex-husband used all my money to marry another lady. They settled with another woman, and then they took my kids at the village. Now, when I came back, in that scenario, I came back through a well-wisher. So when I came back, I didn't even find my husband in the same house that I left. So the house I found my husband living in was a very small house with mattress, a chair. That's it. With a big sufuria. I don't know how you call sufuria in English.
Sufuria, yeah.
A
And
big
so you
sufuria.
came and found everything you had worked for had
yeah,
gone.
totally nothing. I find zero.
So you had to start right from the beginning afresh.
Yeah. That was the downfall of me. Even what I went in Saudi didn't even hurt me. But what I got here back at home, that is what hurt me the most. Even right now, when I start talking about it, I feel pain. I feel like if I find this man right now, I can do something worse. But through counseling, I've been able to stand up. I've been able to love my kids. And Tuko family, by the way, Tuko family is a very big family, and they are very good family. They stood up for me. They sent me something small. I went home, I took my kids, and then we started a new life again. So at the moment as we speak, I'm learning like a baby steps to love my kids, to live one step, one day at a time.
Yeah.
So it's not easy, but...
And I want to come to what that means. Like, there are others like you.
Yes.
So what are the questions I'm going to ask? And I know your story Yvonne has carried your story.
Yeah.
And so I encourage you, if you really want to get into the details of Faith's story, Yvonne, that's still available, the Candid with Yvonne.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's still on YouTube.
I want to open this out to the audience, but as we go there, right, one of the things that you said, look, I wish there were stronger laws. I wish there was stronger policy. And I just want to come back to Benna, to Kasim, to Yvonne. As I go to the audience, you found a way of helping. I'm just wondering if only Faith had been able to get in touch with that group, maybe the story she'd be telling us would be different. Yvonne, I know that you're saying, I'm trying to do so much, but there's only, it's only Yvonne. There's only one thing I can do. Benna?
God has created us, each one of us, with amazing intelligence. Amazing intelligence. It's a matter of you understanding that at what point can I enter into this game? I remember when I was young, there was this game that was not always with the ladies, but even boys, we used to assume that we can play with them. Ile Publican. I think everybody played it, eh? When that rope is being rotated, you don't just enter. You must do a timing. At what point is it that you can join? Then you go until you're caught, then you come out. So it's your intelligence. At what point? Like my case, I take it like this is a drunkard. He has fallen on the road. I'll not ask that, why is he drinking when people are doing other things? The first things first. If it's to resuscitate, to assist maybe out of the road. That is my entry point. Another person will be like now that Emma, she wants to talk to the ladies in the village in some Giriama side. Not to go. Okay? That's her approach. Although it's a tall order, it's a tall order to say that you don't go. Very tall order because of the complexities that you've had. So each one of you can see that, what can I do? Tuko have decided to get me out of the village. I'm a village man. Huh? Don't hear my English and think that I'm a city man. I'm a village man. After this, whatever, I'll be here 1 or 2 days, I go back to my village. They decided to bring me to the limelight that I'm now able to address such an audience. Something that I wouldn't have had the opportunity. I would have just continued with WhatsApp. I buy bundles and do my things my own way. But now with this, there's somebody listening to me who is going now to amplify to another stage. So to me, Daktari, is that each one with the intelligence, after hearing all this, like Daktari, I've told her, the lawyer, I've told her that we have actually shared, all of us, take up the cases, be an international lawyer, go for those Arabs that are really mistreating Kenyans. I'm going to supply you with the cases. Pick them up. God is going to pay you. That's what I can say.
Yvonne?
Every day, Kenyans are traveling to the Middle East in search of labor. And every day, a body is arriving at JKIA. Every day, someone is being mistreated. So what can you do? We're living in an era of social media. When you see someone post, it's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, it's everywhere. People speak up about these things. Some people go through such struggles, like Faith, when she went through her struggles. You sneak and get a phone and send out a message. Do not ignore those calls when you see them on social media. You can tag Tuko, you can tag Kasim, you can tag all of us. We will push this agenda. Please play a role. And we are here to help everyone who needs help.
When it comes to migration issues, these kind of issues, it's almost like a calling. You'll find not so many people would want to go to advocate for the rights of domestic workers or issues like that. Because for her, she has an organization. It started out as a calling. It was more of passion. So these things, you may not find, they're not readily funded per se, but there are things, if we do one step at a time, because we may say, okay, so what? There are domestic workers who are suffering. Yes, they're coming back when they're dead. But if we do not take that step, you never know. It may not happen today or I don't know when, but that step is we all have to take an initiative in whatever way possible we can. The small bits we can is supporting, going through, like myself, I'm an advocate. And how I got involved in this whole issue, as I said earlier, was that I'd seen so many media reports and just decided to take up research in that particular area, of which not so many people would take, because also you see human rights and issues like that. It's not very lucrative, so to speak, but it's an area that people are out there and we should use the law and these, because we have policies and legislation, but who's pushing for them? We need to push in the capacities that we are in.
We've had a lot of information, but what are your thoughts?
This is beyond corruption. This is evil. That's all I have to say.
First and foremost question to Brother Kasim. I understand you understand religion of Islam better than other Muslims do. But my question is simple, straight, and to the point. Are Muslims really following the Holy Scripture which God has given them? Or are they following the man-made so-called hadith? That's why there are Sharia law and beheading of people, etc., etc. What is the difference? And why Muslims are not, who are concerned about these abuses of our sisters and daughters? Even animals can't treat them like that.
Islam looks like maybe it's not the right religion. I would wish to tell you that Islam, from where I stand, it's a very perfect religion. Allah says in the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. Whoever is close to God is the one who fears God more. The same Islam teaches, give wages to your laborers before the sweat dries. This is from the Arab. Islam started with them. Now you see, you simply need to remind them this is what religion teaches. You don't have to stay with somebody's salary for even a single day. Like my small company, I try the best I can. On 30th or 28th, I pay them. So it's a matter of the people themselves. For example, without wasting time, my younger sister, Faith, was raped when she was 5 years old. You can imagine. That was a Kenyan who raped her. And most probably, 99% it was a Christian who raped her. Can we condemn Christianity? No, we can't. So it's just people failing to have the values.
Mine first is a question to Faith Murunga. Do you ladies understand the contractual agreement to the latter? Because but it's a fact. Even today in town, I saw ladies with bags in groups, and I could tell they're not going to Zanzibar, they're not going on holiday, they are going for servitude. So do you understand the terms and conditions before you board that first flight to hell?
Okay, first of all, I would like to say that most of us, we don't get that time to read our contract. So the only time that we are given our contract is the only time that we at the airport. So You have been given your passport, your contract. If you are lucky, they give you your contract. And if you go through your contract, you'll find that maybe it's been written in 2 languages, English and Arabic. If you are lucky, you can understand English, that's well of you. But most of young girls or most of village girls, they don't understand English. Now, maybe if there's someone who can take her through that contract and make her understand what is the contract saying, maybe, just maybe he can change her mind. But even though you want to change your mind and you are already at the airport, it's really hard. If you call your agent that, you told me that I'm going to get 30,000 Kenyan money. And at that moment, in your contract, it has been written 900 SR. If you convert in Kenyan money, that is 24, 23 Kenyan shillings. And at that moment, you don't have that thought of going to Google. Most of us, we go at the Google. You Google how much is 900 SR if you convert in Kenya. Now, if maybe your broker or agent already has told you that you are going to be paid 30,000, you are already in that land. You have started receiving your money, your salary. You send back home. And then mtu wa nyumbani told you that the money you send is not 30,000. It's 24, 23,000. Now you start complaining. You told me that I'm coming here to be paid 30,000. And on top of that, the contract says that you are supposed to work 8 hours. But they're overworking you more than 17, like for me. I was working 17 to 18 hours. Now, in contract, it's well written 8 hours of a day. So you find that you can't even complain, you can't even raise, and you can't even tell that your boss that my contract is saying this and this. Because your boss definitely will tell you that this is only paper. That is what they used to tell me. This is only papers. If you come here, you have to do what I told you. So this is my land, and you do what I told you to do. So you don't have any choice to follow your contract. It's just papers.
Then secondly, Kasim will explain to us maybe, because personally I'm a human rights activist, how would you'd want to be assisted, in what manner?
The answer is, one, the way Tuko has done it. Secondly, if there's an organization that can get the synergy of my contribution, so be it. After all, I've been offering and I'm still offering my services at no cost. I don't charge, so it's not like I'll need 100,000 to be paid salary. If you give me some stipend, I'll appreciate. But I'm doing it because it's passion. It's a hobby. Thank you very much.
Then also back to faith. Are you taught, like rule number 1, don't go to Arab countries if you're not fluent in Arabic? 2, don't go there if you prophesy to Christianity. Otherwise, you will be tagged a kafiri. You're like a pig in a foreign country.
Okay, in basic things, yes. But the moment you land there, the only welcoming, it's change your mind. You remain stranded because you are already in a strange land, in a foreign land. So you don't know their language, you don't know their culture, everything just goes off. Now you have you start you don't wear this short cloth, you don't have to go when the men they're sitting there, you don't have to pass there, you don't have to do this. Now, whatever you have been told here, it's totally different thing in another side. So it's 2 things different. That's why I know in many forums that I go, I normally tell that if possible in those training centers they can even put as returnees to tell them how it's work in another side, because the ones that they are in training centers, they don't know exactly what is there. Now when you reach there, you find everything is totally different.
I really don't have a question. I want to say thank you so much, Faith, for your courage, for your bravery on sharing your story. I can only imagine how traumatic this is for you to relive the experience that you've had. Pole sana. But I'm just glad that you're here, you're safe, and you're moving on. And thank you so much to everyone that is supporting her and many others who have been through this.
Thank you.
So thank you, Benna, thank you, Yvonne and Kasim, for the role that you play. I just want to also share that there's a time I'd watched a clip of a woman who was being beaten in an agent's office in Saudi Arabia. And I felt so touched and so moved. And I tried to track the person that had made that video. He was an immigrant workers activist in Uganda. And he connected me with the people, and so I came to learn that that lady had finally found her way home. But one time he referred me to, he had a case, you know, he got Kenyans and other people calling him about their cases. And they somehow contacted me, and I managed to help one lady actually come home, and at least 2 others, somehow connect them with the family and the embassy in Saudi. And it was a very difficult process, working with the agents here. So I think we've had all of that. But I just want to say that we are all implicated. This is a system. But most significantly, we have a leadership crisis and failure on the part of the government that's supposed to protect Kenyans who are in foreign countries and who are working. So that is something that really still needs to be addressed. We saw how Senator Emma worked so hard, but she was let down by government officials who are laughing when a woman has died, and they think that's funny. We really must create a movement to address this issue. So thank you for everything that you are doing. Please, we need a strong movement to keep at it. Why did they lift the ban in 2017? And women are still calling and desperate and in distress. So I encourage you and thank you for what you're doing, and say that yes, we need a movement to address this issue, because we cannot have women going, you know, to places where they're being mistreated, where they're dying. I was in Kisii one time. I was in Kisii town. That's my hometown. It was about 6:30 in the evening. There was a vehicle blaring. I'm finishing up. But the way these rural, especially rural young women are being recruited, they are saying, Form 4 leavers, mumemaliza Form 4. Those who have finished their Form 4, you can get employment. And they are playing Christian music, blaring, putting a front to gain trust of parents who want to send their children. So I think there's a need to go and educate communities in the rural areas about just giving their children and their girls away, trusting them. And people who come to recruit with a lot of Christian music and send them to places where they, you know. So I just wanted to give a comment. But thank you so much for this, and Alliance Française for hosting this, and everyone that's involved. Thank you so much.
My name is Amy. I'm a medical anthropologist. And I made a few observations. One, you said that we shouldn't actually ask the government to give us any
Go ahead.
solutions. But I think even us, we can start our own interventions. I look at migration is very complex, and it's not just in Saudi, and it's not going to stop. If we can't act on climate change, it's going to increase. So whatever we do, I keep on asking people, have you done something in your company that can reduce, can work against climate change, so that, oh, are you traveling, are you doing things so that people can stop moving ahead? And our economies is very complex. The second thing is that I think the intervention can be with our agents, and actually they're working on immoral economies, and they have there has to be an intervention there to help the girls understand or get to the other side. They're not just selling people, but they're supposed to be mediators. And I looked at, I actually listened to Emma. You're Emma, right? Faith, yes. And it's just not selling. For her case, I was wondering, if there are any services, it has to go beyond, because if there's any services like for her, sexual reproductive health services, where they can also seek services when they're raped or something like that? Where do they go? All this should be put in place so that when girls are going there, it's not just they make it look nice and you are going to earn money, but also they have to be protected in a way that we cannot just wait for government, but the agencies, they should stop these immoral economies and look at human beings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I saw one hand here.
My name is Sophia Njiru. I worked with the labor movement for the last 7 years until some months ago. But I'm still very passionate about labor migration. And so that's why we started Send Us Home Kenya, which is a voluntary organization that deals with repatriation and social cycle support, among other things. Just filling the gaps. Like someone said, we all have a part to play. And so many domestic workers were approaching us because we had done a research and we were wondering, what can we do? And so we started the organization. It's just a voluntary one. So even if we get money, we have our jobs. It's a passion. We have our jobs, but we still go on helping these migrant workers. We only pay one returnee who helps us with getting in touch with the domestic workers. And so it's something that everybody has to play. And like someone said, Faith said, migration is not going to stop. As long as poverty is still there, unemployment is still high, we don't have jobs. As long as 1, 2, 3 people have succeeded, people will still continue to migrate. But what can we do? We are human beings, and actually, labor rights are human rights. So every worker deserves dignity in their work. Domestic workers or not, work is work, and everybody deserves that respect. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
If you could just say the name of the report so those who want to Google it can look for it.
You can Google a job at any cost. You'll find the different researches, and maybe you can compare the different countries. But it goes deeper into the patterns, the legal frameworks, the gaps, and maybe the recommendations. Yes.
Thank you. And the organization is Send Us Home. If you want to have more information, please catch Sophie after this.
Yeah, thank you.
And next to you is Dennis.
My name is Dennis Onyango Rucho. I work with the International Labour Organization, that is ILO. I'm in a project called Fairway. Fairway literally meaning like a just path. Fairway deals in labor migration and labor migration governance. That is protection of migrant workers. We have several activities that we are working with the government and our partners or stakeholders. And as a tripartite UN agency, we work with the government directly through Ministry of Labor as the mother ministry. We work with the Federation of Kenya Employers, that is employer organizations, and also with employee organizations, that is COTU in this case. We are having several intervention activities, starting from policy interventions, information to pre-departure, like we are supporting establishment of Migrant Resource Center. This is like a one-stop shop where if, for example, you like to go to the Middle East, you can walk in there, inquire, check if the agency that you are using to take you to the Middle East, is it validly operating or legally operating? The legally acquired or desired procedures and documentation. We are also working with training of employment and labor officers in terms of attestation. And because of the labor officers, they're the ones that we have the labor attaches that are picked from there. So even in terms of their roles, so there are several that we're doing. More information, we can still interact. I wish I would say more, but thank you.
Thank you very much. And you can find Dennis, as he said, with Fairway, ILO Kenya office. So that's another place you can go if you want to get more information on this. But let me come back to the panel. We've got several questions. One, the question on religion and culture, and are people living up to their religion? The question on, a lot of questions on the contract, right? So what kind of contract? Do people understand their contracts? Do they know what the contract has to say? A question on the preparation. So questions to do with before, questions to do with while they're there. So the kind of services, Kasim, that you're talking about. And then the whole thing of support services. What are the many ways in which we can support them? either before they go, while they're there, and when people come back and they have issues, right? So I have a problem with my contract. Can I sue somebody? Can I get compensation? All those kind of questions. Yvonne?
Some stories are sad, harrowing stories that we follow through and make sure that justice has been served, no matter how long it takes. Some stories are inspirational, like my brother Kasim. We see the change he's trying to create in the society, and so we give him that platform to announce or express himself for the whole world to know that there is a solution, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm so happy again to see Faith today. The last time she was narrating her story for the first time after landing in Kenya, she was not in a good state. But today, I can see a smile on her face. So I'm happy when I see us going through this journey with the victims and not leaving it at that, just following them until the end. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is the documentary already up as well?
You will find it. It's called A Job, no, not A Job, but any cost. Tales of Saudi Arabia. Tales of Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
I want to thank you too and honor you for the work that you're doing, especially because for you it's not just a story. It's not just to get the clicks. And I noted that both Faith and indeed both of you said you thank Tuko for not only the platform, but also for continuing to walk with you. And I really do thank you for that. And please keep up the good work. We are following you, and I'm sure many of us will get in touch with you to see how we can help. Thank you very much. You know, I was just thinking as you were speaking, Benna, I love the passion. Most of us don't like laws, we don't like policies, we don't like those kind of things. And I guess what you're doing and reminding us, and I thank you for that, is if you are here and you're a professional, ask yourself, what is it I can do? Can I help with contracts? Am I a medical doctor? Can I offer counseling? Do I work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? What is it that an attaché can do? Can I put pressure on my MCA, on my MP, on my senator? What is it I can do? I'm speaking to you. If you're a professional and you're here, there is something you can do. Or that place you come from that you call, home, back home. If there are people being taken, human beings being taken from where you come, there is something you can do.